Alrighty, we are live. Are you ready to get absolutely nuts?
No, I'm always ready.
Let's do it. On today's episode of Playing Small is Canceled, we have a very exclusive treat. She's a dynamic corporate executive, best-selling author, investor, powerhouse, and devoted mom, just to name a few. She has skyrocketed up the corporate ladder in just a decade, but felt a deeper calling and a tug for something more. Her best-selling book, Redefining You, isn't just a title. It's a powerful invitation to create a life of confidence, clarity, and purpose. No big deal. After breaking free from societal expectations and rewriting her own story, she's now on a mission to help ambitious women do the same. Please welcome the authentic, empowering, abundant, and bold, my dear friend, Amanda Cahill. How you doing, Amanda?
Wow, Craig, to be on the receiving end of that, let me tell you, that is something beautiful because I've seen you do this for years. Man, that was a special treat. I loved every second of that. Thank you.
You can cross it off the bucket list now.
And you're hired. There's that too.
I'm so pumped for this conversation. For our listeners, this is a special treat. We've known each other for years now. We've done a lot of stuff together. We've done some coaching. You were in our community. You worked. You were part of CLS. You are and will always be family. There's so many different places that we can take this conversation. But I also want to put the emphasis on the brand new book. But before we dive in, you and I were having a pretty cool conversation that got deep quick before we went live today. And we were kind of talking about this idea of, depending upon what you might be going through in certain seasons, having to get up and do certain things on the calendar can be challenging when you're navigating other things. I know this is kind of a universal topic that a lot of people can relate to. How do you navigate something like that?
I mean, that's something that we all work through all the time, right? I mean, I think the way you navigate it is going to be different in whatever season that you're in. And in particular, whichever it is that you're trying to navigate through could be different, right? I think it always comes down to integrity for me is, when I said that I wanted to do something, or if I sign up for something, that I'm committing to that fully. I'm in my year of no. I know Shonda Rhimes had the year of yes. That book that came out a couple of years ago where everybody's like, oh, just say yes to all the opportunities and figure it out. And I'm like, no. I'm in my year of no right now, where it's like, if it doesn't align with where I'm going and who I want to be, I say no. And if I say yes to something, that means that I have thoroughly thought about it and I've committed to it, and I will show up for that thing because that's what's important to me, to my integrity. It helps me sleep better at night, but it also helps me stay true to my word.
Is it possible that during that process, there are times when you feel a shift or you have to reprioritize, and you might be willing to call an audible or respectfully say no to something that you already said yes to, or is it non-negotiable?
So I have done that. I have said yes to something, and then when push comes to shove, have come back. And I think as long as you approach those type of situations with respect, honesty, and that integrity piece, like I always come back to that because I think that's such a big pillar of who we are as humans and as people. People will understand. People will respect you. I think they'll respect you even more if you're willing to show that authentic side and say, look, I know I already said yes to this, but this is where I'm at right now. And I just cannot show up the way I know I need to show up in this moment for this thing. And so I'm going to have to respectfully step away. I'm just not going to be able to do it right now.
I love it. So being able to be flexible, be fluid, and reprioritize if need be is a part of life.
Always, right?
Absolutely, I agree. I love the title of your book, Redefining You. I was a little bit involved in the process. I know when you were working on it, and so a little bit of the creative behind it. But I know that you put a lot of emphasis on the title, and rightfully so. What was the identity that you had to release? And also maybe what did you have to, or who did you have to become to write this particular book with that title?
So it's interesting because the person I became to write this book with this title is actually a different person that's showing up here right now. I mean, you know how it is in the writing world, right? You sign a deal, you start working with a publisher. The first iteration of the book, the one that I had originally pitched and started writing, is not the book that's in front of us right now. It's actually a different book. I evolved and pivoted through the process and had to work with the publisher to, again, tell them, hey, I know that I came in with this one idea, but I really need to shift it into something else. And I think that really is the underlying theme in the book of giving yourself that permission to be able to redefine you, whatever that looks like. I think, there's that sunk cost bias where people think, oh, I've been going down this one trajectory for however long now. I have to continue to move down this path. And it's like, no, you literally don't. Life is so short, as you and I have seen here recently, right? And it's like, if you are doing something, moving in a certain direction that is not fulfilling you, it is not making you happy, is not bringing joy in your life, we were not meant to just simply survive. We were meant to thrive and find joy and happiness and fulfillment and purpose and all of those things. And if you're moving down a path that doesn't bring you any of those things, why would you continue to move down that path? This is your invitation, your opportunity, your permission to redefine what success looks like for you. Because I think a lot of us, myself included, I was chasing a version of success that wasn't defined by myself. It was the expectations, it was the things I thought I should be doing. And I think a lot of us fall into that trap. It's getting quiet and saying, what do I actually want? And that's the redefining piece. So the woman I am today is even different than the woman I was when I started writing this book. But I identify so much with redefining you as a phrase because it's more than just words. It's a movement. It's the way I feel deep in my soul, with giving that permission that you can redefine yourself literally at any point in your life. As you know, you know that you've lived it, you breathed it. And I've watched you thrive and flourish in that, right? And it's kind of helped me see that piece in myself too.
Beautiful. You mentioned the word should there. We're constantly shooting all over ourselves, right? We should do this, we should do that. And it's funny because I think that for me, what I've experienced is when you're in a place that feels like a dead end or there's a lack of growth happening, my soul begins to contract. And that's the worst feeling. It's out of alignment, it's burnout, it's all the things. And so I'm constantly reevaluating each and every single day. Am I living an authentic life today, to make sure that I'm in a position where I feel like my soul has an opportunity to expand, or I feel energized and so forth. And many people feel like they've outgrown the life that they've built, but they're often very scared to start over or even just to pivot. What would you say to someone who knows that they need to redefine themselves, but they feel paralyzed by fear, either because this is what they should do, or they're scared of the unpredictability about leaning into something else?
You know, my favorite thing to challenge people with when they say, I should do this, I should do that, I always ask them, who told you you should? Who told you you should? Because a lot of times that pressure is come from society, our parents, our coworkers, the people in our circles. But like, did that actually come from you, or did that come from somebody else? Right. And I just wish more people would know that life is so freaking short. And this is the amount of time that we have, and we never know when is going to be our last breath. And it's like, why waste a single second of your life if you are not happy in it? And I think a lot of times people think, oh, I have to overhaul 100 different things. They have this checklist of all the things they want to change, either about themselves, how they show up, their careers, whatever it is. And it's like, let's just pick one thing and let's start there. What is the one thing that you can do today that moves you closer to that version of you that you want to become? Let's remove the 100 things, because that's, you talked about fear. I think people get paralyzed when there are so many options. We make it so complex, and it's like, it's really simple. If you just strip away all the noise, what is the one thing that you can do right now today to move you closer to that next version of you, or that version that you want to be? And then tomorrow, what's that thing? And then the day after that, what's that thing? You know, something I talk about in my book is called the one thing philosophy. And it's just that. It's what is that one thing that you can focus on right now in your life that's going to move the needle forward just a little bit, that's going to help you pivot, that's going to help you shift, that's going to help you show up as that better version of yourself. Not 10 things, not 100 things. What's the one thing?
Oh, this is juicy. So a lot of people are going to listen to this and read the book, and we encourage everybody to buy a second copy for someone that you love, because it's a universal topic that could definitely help. So people will identify, okay, so what's the one thing I could do? Beautiful. Now we have the awareness. But some people actually lack the willingness to then lean in and do the one thing. How do we get them to be bold and take that step?
I think it really comes back to just honoring your commitments over your feelings. We get so caught up in the way we feel. I don't feel like waking up and working out, but I do it. You know, if I just left everything to how I was feeling in the moment, like half the people would never get anything done, right? It's like, you need to choose your commitments over your feelings. Feelings are fleeting. Feelings are something that are plagued from the ego to help keep you small, to help keep you safe. And once you realize what's at play there, that awareness piece that you just mentioned, yes, that's step one. Have you made a commitment to what it is that you want to change? Maybe your why isn't deep enough. Why do you really want to change? What's the pain that you're really feeling in your life? Because if you just keep asking yourself more questions and dig down deep, you get past all that surface level. Oh, because I think I need to be doing this. I think I should be, whatever it is, you will really start to peel away those layers and find out what is really important to you inside, and then get your why from there. And then you can start making these commitments, and it makes it a lot easier versus, I don't feel like doing this right now. I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. No, you'll do it now because it's important to you and you committed to doing it.
So you have to make it so real for yourself.
Yes.
Right? And one of the things I love to talk about that always seems to strike a chord with people is this idea of integrity, right? It's as simple as doing what you said you were going to do. I think that's the most spiritual thing that we can do, is just following through on our own commitments. If it's important to you and you're declaring that you're going to get it done, if you don't do it, that's catastrophic. Not because you didn't actually move forward, but because now you can't even count on yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think like I use the integrity piece a lot. You know, there's a lot of times where you hear people talk about, well, I can't sleep at night. They're replaying all these things that they've done over the course of their day. And a lot of times, like, that's out of alignment. It's out of integrity. They didn't show up the way to know that they could show up. And that slowly over time eats away at the way they feel about themselves, the confidence that they have. And that's something I talk a lot about, is just finding ways where you can flip that script to help develop that confidence more. And it's showing up for yourself. It's keeping those promises that you make to yourself, right? Because confidence is a muscle. It's not something like you have or you don't have. You continually work on it. You continue to build it. Yeah. I mean, the first time you go in the gym, you do some bicep curls, like, I mean, unless you're me or you know, I mean, we look up at biceps, it's fine. But, you know, most people, you're going to have to continually work at it, right? You have to continue to fuel your body with good things. You have to continue to do the movements in order to see the muscle growth. It's the same thing with confidence in the way we treat ourselves, with our integrity and those promises that we keep to ourselves. It's so important.
I love it. If anybody takes one thing away from this conversation, I'm sure they'll take away money. Practice flexing that muscle of following through on your commitments, of being integrous. It goes so far. And the best part is it begins to cultivate momentum.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you also, when you're writing the book, I know someone like you, who's a very high achiever, has very high standards for herself, because I've known you for quite a while. You didn't just want to write a book just to cross it off. You wanted to do a thing, do it well, have it really be good quality and really help a lot of people. And I'm wondering if when you were writing it, were there any moments where you wanted to quit or you wanted to go back and play small? And if so, what got you to pull through and finish that process? Because it's not an easy process to write a good book and deliver it to the world.
No, and it's so true. And I literally, you and I never even talked about this, which is funny that you're asking me this question. There was a point towards the end where I was coming up to my final deadline of submitting the book, and I almost told the publisher I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to finish it. Prior to that, I had a lot on my plate. I was writing this book. I had a successful podcast, obviously my corporate career. I was still, you know, helping with CLS at the time. I was doing a handful of other volunteer things. There were so many things that were on my plate. I was overwhelmed. I was burnt out, and I'm trying to finish this book at the same time. And I kind of, you know, the rubber met the road. And I said, I just hit a point where I was like, I can't continue to do all these things at the level that I'm doing them. Because like you said, I want to do things and I want to do them really well. And if you're doing 100 things and you're trying to do them all 100%, you can't. You can't. But what made me push through the process of finally submitting my manuscript to the publisher, I told myself, I said, you know what? I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I said, I could continue to work on this and perfect it for the rest of my life. But this is a really good book, and this message needs to come out now. And there's a reason why I chose to have it come out when it came out. And so I honored that for myself. I said, I'm so far down in this process. I could keep revising. I could keep changing things up. But it's so good the way it is right now. At some point, you just have to rip the Band-Aid off and say, this is it. This is what I have.
I love it. Now that I'm thinking back, you've been successful ever since I've known you in the corporate world. In other words, like, you bring a lot to the table, you do well for yourself and sought after. But ever since I've known you, there's been a tug at you that wants to also lean into something else, whether it's personal development or sharing a piece of your story or be a part of that. Now, someone looking at this situation might be like, well, why do you even want to do that? You're all set up. You're doing your thing. You're making money. You're successful. What is it that is constantly over the years been tugging at your soul that keeps you coming back to share your message in a big way?
You know what? If I knew the answer to that, Craig, it's literally, I mean, honestly, I don't know, but there is something there. I haven't figured out how quite yet to verbalize it or to pinpoint what it is, but there is this tug, there is this pull. I always find my way back to sharing this message, to helping specifically other women, find their confidence and find their clarity and really take back control of their lives by figuring out who they are and who they want to be, right? I wish I knew the answer to that. It's something I literally struggle with, of trying to figure out why I feel the way that I feel. I remember early on in my career, somebody had told me, oh, you're so career focused. You're so driven. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is just who I am. I didn't identify with that. But now as I'm older and I'm looking back, I realize that I have something that a lot of people don't. You have the same thing. Some people are very content, very happy, and they're fine with the things that they have. We're always kind of looking for something else, more fulfillment, way to bring our purpose to the world, just different avenues to bring. For me, it's like, it's positivity, it's joy, it's happiness, all of those things, and finding ways to incorporate that into my life and the lives of those around me. But I don't know where it comes from. It's just something that's so deep ingrained in who I am that even when I try to step away, I'm like, I get thrown back into it, or an opportunity comes up and I'm like, yes, that feels really good. I want to do that thing because people need to hear this message. Or even if there's one person who is impacted from this, it was worth it. So I don't know where it comes from, to answer your question. I just know that I have it. And I know there are a lot of people who do.
Beautiful. And you'll never be satisfied unless you're sharing in some capacity with the world.
Yes. Well, what's interesting is, as of late, I've realized that some of the things that I was chasing were outside of my home. Obviously, I have, business success. I've done really well there. I've thrived. And what I've come to realize here recently is that the happiness within my home and the love and joy that's felt within my family has something that I used to kind of push to the wayside and has really come to the forefront for me. So a lot of the energy and things that I used to put out outwardly into the world now are focused in my home, with raising my son, with, it's really hard to explain for people who don't have children, but like the amount of love that you feel for your children. And I always say now that my son has helped me redefine what success looks like for me. It used to look different. Now I see a whole nother side of myself that maybe I shut down a little bit, but I'm really letting her come out now. I'm really letting her thrive, or I'm figuring out how to make that happen, because I can't turn off this other side of me either. But it's taking that success and now weaving it into, who am I as a mom, as a wife? How do I raise my son to be a beautiful, happy human? And it's just, that is something that I'm really focused on right now. And it's just like an ever changing in these different seasons that I'm in. Yeah. But it's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful share. And can we go really deep right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I remember a little while back, you weren't the most spiritual person by any means, but then you gave birth and became a mom. And I'm wondering if your connection or level of spirituality has evolved or changed over the years since such a big life moment like becoming a mom.
I don't know. That's a really loaded question. I think I've always been, it has changed. Yes, it has evolved in a way that I had not expected it. Now, my son's at the age where he's learning about like planets in the universe. He's going to be 3 and he just loves the moon and space. And it's weird when I take a step back and I realize we're on this planet Earth. We are just this little speck in a universe, in a galaxy. And it's just, the problems that I thought were problems are no longer problems. But what that means from a spirituality standpoint, I don't know. But it's like there's so much more than what I ever thought there was. And that's what having my son has really helped me see.
I think that's the ultimate definition of spirituality. Just that you believe there's more going on here beyond our logic. Mm-hmm. And I think if anyone can connect to that, I think they're spiritual and available.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then if you start talking quantum physics and different reality fields to certain people, they kind of, their eyes gloss over and rolls back in their head. But there's
What's
something to all this stuff.
What's crazy to me is that it's a good point that you make, but that's not philosophy, that's science.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are skeptical of it, but like this isn't like, it's not. This is real stuff. Like I always encourage people to see the movie Oppenheimer if they haven't, because it's kind of the start of quantum physics. I thought it was very fascinating. But even just like, as you know, I've really gravitated towards the wisdom of Kabbalah, which is a spiritual concept. But just quantum physics, like that's something I would encourage everybody to just check out. Just that everything's energy, and I think it opens things up for people.
I 100% agree. I think a lot of people shut it down because they don't understand.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. Quantum physics and the quantum field in itself, that area of science, it's kind of out of the norm for what people are used to thinking. It's a little out of the box. And it takes some effort to actually understand what is going on. But I think that fear and people shutting it down is just because it's the fear of the unknown. Yeah. They don't understand it, and they haven't given it the time to really understand what it is. Mm-hmm. But it's real. It's science. I
love it. I wanted to ask you, because you just beautifully articulated that since you've had your son, different definitions of success and so forth. I have a feeling, the way that I know you, that you still unapologetically desire it all in every area of life, the best relationship, to be the best mom, career, all that stuff. But I think what I'm hearing you say is that your priorities have changed during this season. Whereas it might have been like climbing the corporate ladder. Right now, it's about being the best mom and molding this unbelievable human. I don't think your desire has shrank at all. I think you just probably reprioritized at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, the ambition just looks different. Yeah. I gave a keynote last week in Chicago talking all about how to be unapologetically bold. And one of the ways that I emphasize this point is that bold can be different than what we've been taught. The bigger, louder, faster. Bold can also be quieter, deeper, more intrinsic. Bold can hold any definition that you want it to. And that's kind of how I see what my ambition looks like right now. It's a little bit quieter, but it's deeper. It's more intense. It's not the big, loud, flashy, in your face. And that's okay. Sometimes the boldness is in the pause, not in the pressure or the pushing forward. And who knows, maybe in 2 years I'll feel completely different, but this is the gift that I'm giving to myself right now, is to slow down a little bit, is to be there for my family, is to take the foot off the gas on one side of my ambition, but it's still here, just in another form.
Just allocate it. Yeah.
Right.
I love it. And also we all have different meanings for different words, and we define things differently. So the word bold, like you just said, can mean pausing and taking a step back, white space, getting focused over here. It doesn't always mean something loud and audacious, because you get to choose the meaning you give that word.
Exactly. Yeah. Bold could simply be saying no when everybody expects you to say yes. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Absolutely love it. Who is this book for?
It's funny. When I first started writing the book, I wrote it for mothers. And as the words and the message continued to flow out, I realized that it needed to be broader than that. It needed to be for women as a collective. And yes, I do talk about motherhood in there, but I talk about applications for all women, because I think that is so important. I think so many times as women, we're shaped by society, other people's expectations, the pressures, the things that we see on social media. And this book is an invitation for that woman to really come back home to herself, to figure out who she is, what she wants out of life, where she's going, and then how to get there. So I would say it's for the woman that I used to be.
Oof.
The ambitious woman who was lost, who was chasing this version of success that wasn't something that I had defined for myself. It was one that I thought I was supposed to do because it's what I thought I saw other people doing. So I thought that's what I had to do too.
I love that you constantly use the word invitation. It feels so welcoming, right? Like no pressure. I just invite you to really consider if you're on the right authentic trajectory, or what else is possible, or what means the most to you right now.
Yeah, that's the key. Right now. What means the most to you right now? Because like I said, it could be different than it was 2 years ago. It could be different again in another 2 years.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm going through a big change in my life right now, an identity shift, who I am, who I want to be in this next chapter of my life. And like, I'm doing the work in my own book because I'm trying to define what that looks like for me. I'm trying to figure out who I am at my core in this season, what's important to me, what I can prioritize, what is going to make me the happiest, bring me the most joy, feel the most confident in my life. And then how do I move through that in this season? And I'll probably do it again in another season. Who knows?
Right.
And that's the beauty of it.
This is the last thing I'm going to say, and we'll land the plane. Based on what you just said, if somebody ever says to you, don't ever change, that's like the worst curse you could say to somebody, right? Because what you just said is like, you're always changing, and who you were when you wrote the book is not who you are today. And it's certainly not going to be who you're probably going to be in 3 months from now, because you're constantly evolving, right? And I think everybody should lean into that. Like, we're always, that's the one constant, is changing.
I think so. Yes, we're always changing. I think a lot of times we change in directions again that we think we should. We evolve in ways that we think we should. But who do you actually want to be? What do you want your life to look like? How do you want to show up? All of those things are so important, and we never stop to ask ourselves, what do I really want? What do I want to be in this life? What's the legacy that I want to leave? How do I want my life to feel? Not what I want it to look like. How do I want it to feel? And that's the permission. That's the invitation to change, because we all are always changing. Why don't you decide who it is that you want to change into, versus letting life just aimlessly happen to you, which is what most people are, just aimless in their lives. They let things happen to them. They let life happen to them. They're on this hamster wheel. It's the same thing every single day. 5 years from now, they're in the same house, same place, same job. And that can be fine if that's truly what you want in your life. But if not, give yourself the permission to figure out what that is.
Beautiful. Most people are very reactive and robotic. Same thing over and over. But I think if we land it right there, I would encourage everybody to do this homework assignment, is to actually take time and do the exercise that Amanda just shared. What do you want your life to look like, and how do you want it to feel? Take some time with that. Write it down. And if you're feeling frisky, share it with us. We'd love to know.
I love that.
Hold up the book one more time. Look at that beauty.
Ooh.
How does it feel?
Oh, it feels amazing.
Personal, I know.
It's literally like exposing your soul to the world.
Yeah.
Anybody who's written a book will know that.
100%. I know our community, if they weren't familiar with you, are going to want to go deeper. I imagine one of the things you're most popular right now is the book. How else can they stay involved? Where's the best way to stay part of your movie? Where can they grab the book?
Yeah, so you can grab the book on Amazon, but you can find me at my website. It's just amandacahill.com. I have all my social on there. Would love to connect to anybody, talk more about this. I think it's such an important message, especially for women, to help them come back home to themselves so they can start living fully, truly as who they were meant to be.
Oof. Homecoming. Back.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Before we let you go, maybe 3 or 4 rapid fire questions, 1 or 2 word answers. You knew it was coming. Are you ready for me?
I'm always ready. Let's go.
Favorite workout?
I love leg day.
Okay. Favorite guilty pleasure?
Ooh, ice cream and cookies.
What flavor?
Ooh, it just depends. Usually cookies and cream.
Wow. Sounds scrumptious.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Ooh. This might seem strange, but I love The Fifth Element.
Bruce Willis in his prime. That's
Yeah.
Real good. Okay. Favorite book, or maybe one besides yours, that's really made an impact on you?
The Third Door by Eric Banion.
Not familiar.
Oh, it's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book. In college, he wanted to interview successful people, and he's interviewed everybody from like Steve Jobs. All over the place. Pitbull, and it's just a compilation of how they all reached success, and it was all through a third door, not the front door. It's a wonderful book.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And last one, your favorite morning ritual essential?
Oh, getting outside is the first thing I do every single morning. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's what I do. I go outside, get direct sunlight in your eyes, on your face. It helps regulate your circadian rhythm. It helps you sleep better at night. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but getting outside in the morning helps you sleep at night. That's my favorite thing to do. Just get outside in the sun, let it hit my face first thing in the morning.
It's beautiful. And it's nice out by you, especially.
It's hot, but it's nice. Yes.
Really proud of you, Amanda.
Thank you.
And super pumped that we had this conversation. I think our audience knows how intentional I am with who we collaborate. And I cannot endorse Amanda enough and all the things that she has going on, especially her book. So thank you so much for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Oh, thank you so much, Craig. I appreciate it. You know, I adore you. And I'm just so thankful for you and our friendship and the fact that I get to have you in my life.
Beautiful. I'm going to cry. Hang up for 1 second.